Summer Reading is Killing Me, Chapter 6. At the end of Chapter 5, we found out that all of the characters from the books were headed to the Hoboken Public Library, which is where Sam, Joe, and Fred need to be. So let's see what happens next. Chapter 6. "That's it! We're cooked!" said Sam. I tried to think of a plan or even a magic trick to use, but I couldn't. "Things could be worse," I said. "Things could be worse," squeaked Sam. "Things could be worse." He was starting to look a little hysterical. "The one building in Hoboken that we need to get into is filled with monsters, criminals, and killers. It's packed with every bad guy from every book ever written. We have to sneak in and find one small book in the middle of thousands of library books. And all you can say is, 'Things could be worse'?" Sam's hair sprouted out in every direction. His glasses hung crookedly. Now he was definitely hysterical. "Well," said Fred calmly, "we could be captured and getting dragged in there like everybody else. That would be worse." Sam stared at Fred like he was going to strangle him. I stared at Fred like I was going to hug him. And there is Sam getting hysterical. "Fred," I said, "you're a genius. That's exactly how we're going to get in there. We don't even need a magic trick. You pretend to be a bad guy character from a book who captures us. You chase us into the library." "I what?" said Fred. "I am? Okay." Sam wasn't too thrilled with the plan, but even he had to admit we didn't have a choice. We had to get into the library as soon as we could and get our hands on the book. Fred turned his Red Wings hat backward and rolled his sleeves up over his shoulders to look as nasty as possible. Sam and I combed our head down to look as nerdy as possible. Fred, Sam, and I checked each other out. Fred pulled his belt out of his pants. "Ready?" I asked. "Ready," said Sam and Fred. "Then let's go." Sam and I jumped out from behind the statue and headed for the library. Fred ran behind us, yelling and whipping his belt around. "That's it! Keep moving, you chuckleheads!" He landed a solid belt whip on Sam's leg. "Hey," said Sam, "that hurts." "And there's more where that came from," yelled Fred, chasing us up the library steps. "So don't give me any grief, Four Eyes." And there is Fred being a bad guy. We pushed through the front doors and right into one incredibly ugly troll and a gangster guarding the next doors. The troll had a crazy look in his eye. The gangster had a machine gun. "Who's that crossing my bridge?" said the troll. "Yeah, who are you mugs? And what patty cake book did you fall out of?" said the gangster, chewing his cigar. I smoothed my hair and straightened my collar. "We are the Time Warp Trio," I said in my best voice. "Sam and I do good deeds and help people wherever we go, but Fred is the mean kid next door. He always wrecks our plans." "Time Warp Trio," said the gangster. "I didn't never hear of no books called the Time Warp Trio. What are you, some kind of science fiction or something?" The troll hiccuped and drooled a pool of yellow saliva on his hairy green foot. "Nah, we're like action-adventure fiction," said Fred. "These jerks try to make them educational adventures. I make sure to mess them up and keep things moving so the readers don't fall asleep." Fred gave Sam and me a smack on the back of our heads. The gangster pointed his machine gun at us and gave us a cold stare. Sam and I thought we were goners. He chewed his cigar, then broke into a laugh. "Hey, that's funny. You sound like my kind of guy. Reminds me of stories I was in when I was a kid." Fred smiled and gave us a couple of extra slaps. Sam and I didn't think that was really necessary. "Take 'em inside," the gangster motioned with his machine gun. "The boss has plans for characters like them." The troll's stomach rumbled. He irked, and another string of drool spilled down his chin. Fred grabbed Sam and me by the backs of the necks and pushed us quickly through the doors before the gangster could change his mind. The three of us stumbled into the library and stopped dead. You know how when you read a book you kind of see the characters even if they don't show a picture of them? Well, that was what this was like. But instead of seeing book characters in our minds, we saw them for real, wandering all over the Hoboken Public Library. Characters from every book on our summer reading list. "I see it, but I don't believe it," said Sam. That's Mrs. Twit tying up Mary Poppins and Encyclopedia Brown. That's Frankenstein holding Pippi Longstocking, I breathed. They even got Mother Goose, said Fred. I could just see Peter Rabbit, Henrietta the 266-pound Hoboken chicken, George and Martha, and 10 or 20 other characters already trapped in a kind of cage made out of library shelves behind the main desk. Huge stacks of books towered over them. There's that girl with the yellow hair who had her appendix taken out, I said. Madeline, said Sam. And that vampire rabbit we read about last year, said Fred. Bunnicula, said Sam, and Flat Stanley, Treehorn, Alice in Wonderland, Nate the Great, Amelia Bedelia, they're all here, said Sam in amazement. We couldn't see who the boss was. He was running things from the main checkout desk, completely surrounded by some very bad-looking characters. Keel-haul the lot of them, boomed Long John Silver. Off with their heads, commanded the Red Queen. Kill the pig, cut his throat, bash him in, chanted a scrawny kid dressed in ripped clothes with streaks of mud, pounding his pointed stick spear on a library table. I don't know what's going on here, but it doesn't look good, I said. Let's sneak up those stairs and start looking for the book, quick. And it probably would have been a good plan, but we were only halfway up the stairs when we heard a voice that could only be talking to us. You three boys, what book are you from? Come down here now. I turned to see who had spotted us. I had to blink to make sure I wasn't seeing things, because standing between the White Witch from Narnia and the Trunchbull from Matilda was a little red man pointing his finger directly at us. This does not look good, I said. This looks positively evil, said Sam. Is that who I think it is, said Fred. I thought about it for a second. Do you know any other red guy with 2 horns and a pointed tail? And that is the end of chapter 6.